But there's one question that is kind of up in the air, and that's Craig Minor is with us to ask that question. He's the ranking member of the General Assembly's Appropriations Committee. Those are the guys who get the money. Anyway, first of all, good morning, Representative Minor. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Well, I don't know. So this does not come free, correct?
That's been my position.
So what kind of money are we talking here? I've seen some numbers. Pat Scully, who writes a blog, The Hanging Shad, is estimating that it could cost maybe 10, maybe even more than that, $1 million a year. Is that a conservative estimate, or do you think that's appropriate?
Well, there are a number of different aspects of the bill. The most expensive portion of the bill, as I understand the fiscal note, is the out years for increased incarceration costs because of the reductions to the early release program. There are also a number of areas where bonding is associated with new construction costs. There have been some reductions in what they call the SDE, school construction line item also in the bill, but it's about $23 million over the life of the notes.
Is there any money, is there a provision in the law that would increase? I know last night over in Manchester, the governor was saying, yeah, we're really going to concentrate on school safety. We've taken care of the gun part of it, at least I assume he thinks that, and so there you are. But, I mean, there is going to be money, I would guess, for the schools to be able to pump things up a bit and increase security there, would there not?
Well, as I understand the fiscal note, there's money for school safety upgrades. That's in terms of construction. I'm not sure that there's money in the bill for staffing. So I think all that's going to fall to the town. Having said that, there are some revenues in the bill as well. I think most people who own guns know that the bill is heavy on fees. So every 5 years you get to go back in and renew your gun eligibility certificate or ammunition certificate, and all those are at $35 a piece. So this will help fund the provisions of the bill. I don't think it's going to help fund it to the extent that the dollars are being estimated here. Like everything else in state government, the state estimates costs based on what somebody tells them. So as I read the fiscal note and I read the language in the bill, in higher education, for instance, their prediction is that there'll be no additional cost to do school safety planning, yet under the Department of Public Safety's estimate, there's about $190,000 a year for 3 people to go audit those school safety proposals. So it's interesting how different factions of state government view this responsibility.
We're talking to Craig Minor. He's the ranking member of the General Assembly's Appropriations Committee, and we're talking about the recent passage of SB 1160, which is the gun control bill, if you would, and school safety, I guess, is included therein. Okay, so the way this works is, of course, obviously we know that there are a number of guns that will no longer, be allowed to be purchased here in the state. We know there are other things, other provisions that are involved, but back to the school safety issue, which is really and the mental health issue as well. Is that adequately addressed in this?
I don't think anybody really knows. I think over the past few years, we have obligated municipalities to do things like develop fire drills and school safety drills. I think with what has occurred nationally with regard to schools, both at the higher education level and lower education level, municipalities, I'm sure, feel obligated to go back and take a look at whether their plans, if they have them, are sufficient. And then with that kind of a review, probably comes an assessment of whether they have any capital needs or personnel costs that might be associated with them. So I know school boards are grappling with whether they should go with card systems or buzzers or cameras, whether there should be additional personnel, that sort of thing. So I don't think anybody really knows whether the costs associated with this are sufficiently covered in the bill. I can say that, as I think most people in Connecticut are aware, the budget proposal from the governor made certain recommendations. Some of that includes some additional funding to schools and to the education system itself. And so it may be that we'll have to reorganize some of his initial wishes and do some other things.
When each district comes up with their school safety plan, who ultimately judges its effectiveness or not? Is there a review on the state level?
Well, there's a section of the bill that requires DESPP to take a look at that, and also higher education will have to be reviewed. So I believe that's probably presently unknown. I think the municipality will have an obligation, each municipality, to develop a program, and then somebody's going to have to take a look at it and make a determination whether or not it will work. I think it's unknown.
And for the background checks, obviously now there is going to be, I would guess, a flood there'll be a flood, I guess, of people applying for these because there have been some changes into who has to be certified. Do the state police take care of that? Who's exactly going to be doing this? And are there sufficient personnel in place to take care of this demand?
When the governor proposed his budget back in January, there was a reduction of about $250,000 in the line item that deals with background checks. And when the commissioner was there, we spoke about how they achieved or planned to achieve that reduction, and it was by moving uniformed personnel out onto the street and replacing them with lower-cost civilian personnel. Mm-hmm. It seemed to me back then, knowing that this had already occurred in Newtown, that the more logical thing to have done would have been to increase the number of personnel in that area, even if they're private citizens, anticipating that many people across the nation were calling for new background checks. So I think part of this anticipated cost is really to bring them back up to where they should have been under the governor's budget had he not made the cut.
Okay.
It's about $250,000.
Representative Miner, thank you much for your time. Appreciate it. Nice to meet you, and hope to speak to you again in the future.
Thank you. Be well.
All right.